There are reports of strikes in Feodosia, Zaozernoye, and at the Saki airfield. It is also known that in Novofedorivka, in the area of Balaklava near Sevastopol, launches of air defense missiles were heard. This information is also confirmed by the Sevastopol Gauleiter Razvozhayev. Russian frigates armed with Kalibr cruise missiles have been deployed to the Black Sea from Novorossiysk. Obviously, the enemy is preparing to launch strikes against Ukraine. These are the very strikes that the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin mentioned the day before in a phone conversation with Donald Trump. Meanwhile, public channels are reporting that there was allegedly an unsuccessful launch of a Russian intercontinental missile of the Oreshnik type, which fell somewhere on the territory of Kazakhstan. Numerous videos have already appeared online. By the way, I also posted some of them on my Telegram channel. You can check them out. There is already a response from the Ministry of Defense of Kazakhstan. On June 5th, glowing objects were spotted in the sky over Kazakhstan. The Ministry of Defense of Kazakhstan reports that these phenomena are similar to debris from a spacecraft entering the atmosphere or to a meteor shower. As a rule, all of them burn up in the dense layers of the atmosphere and do not reach the Earth's surface. Nevertheless, many people doubted this official version, especially considering that the Ministry of Defense of Kazakhstan has asked not to comment on this information for now. Officially, it is reported that there have been no recorded violations of Kazakhstan's airspace. We ask citizens to remain calm and not to spread false information. The competent authorities need to study this phenomenon as well and provide their explanations. But as of now, at least at this moment, no explanations have been given. However, many, including Russian leading Z channels, particularly Fighter Bomber, are writing that this could be the result of the burning up of stages from an R-26 Rubezh intercontinental ballistic missile. This missile is better known by the name given to it by the Russian dictator Putin, Oreshnik. According to unconfirmed reports, the range of the Oreshnik is about 5,500 kilometers. Nevertheless, Putin claimed that the Russian aerospace forces have a certain number of these missiles in service. It is reliably known that there were two of them. Putin has already used one of these Oreshniks, although without a warhead, for a strike on the Dnieper. It was also reported that the enemy might have one more of these missiles, and possibly, let me repeat, I am not making any definitive claims. It is possible that this very missile burned up in the sky as a result of an unsuccessful launch and its debris fell on the territory of Kazakhstan. At the very least, this version currently appears to be the most likely, but to be objective, let me repeat once again, we do not have any confirmation of this yet. There is only information from Telegram channels and numerous videos from residents of Kazakhstan. In particular, there are reports of debris appearing in the sky over Astana. Meanwhile, we do know for certain that today Ukrainian defense forces, together with the security service of Ukraine, struck three launchers of the Russian Iskander operational tactical missile system near the settlement of Klinsy in the Bryansk region. The corresponding video is already the first verified case of the destruction of an Iskander-M OTRK since the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the destroyed Iskander launcher zone is confirmed to have been destroyed, while two others sustained significant damage of an unspecified, let's say, nature. Well, it's clear that they were hit, but it's unknown how seriously they were damaged. These three launches belong to the 26th Missile Brigade of the Russian forces. It is reported that the enemy attempted to strike Kiev with Iskander-M missiles. This is one of the most dangerous types of Russian ballistic missiles and the most difficult to intercept. But if this is indeed the first verified case of this kind today, then congratulations are in order for the Ukrainian defense forces and special services who took part in this operation. Meanwhile, Putin and his loyalists continue to recklessly accuse not only Ukraine, but now also Western allies, Britain, of course, and the United States, It is precisely them they blame for providing satellite reconnaissance information that enabled an effective strike on Russian military airfields. And they will likely make the same accusations regarding the destruction of Iskander crews in the Bryansk region. Meanwhile, American intelligence released its own estimates today. According to data from American intelligence agencies, as a result of the attack on Russian military airfields on June 1st, 20 aircraft were put out of commission. This was reported by the Reuters news agency, citing a representative of the American intelligence services. Earlier, a source in the North Atlantic Alliance reported that Ukraine managed to destroy between 10 and 13 combat aircraft of Russian strategic aviation, including Tu-95s, Tu-22 M3s, one A-50 airborne early warning aircraft, and possibly a Tu-160. Perhaps, let me repeat once again, this information has not been confirmed, as a result of the operation codenamed Web, which, as it turned out, struck right at the very heart of the American leader. Donald Trump, according to the influential publication Axios, called Ukraine's attack on Russian air bases cool and powerful. Those were his exact words, cool and powerful. Axios in turn cited sources within the White House. Pretty powerful. Trump allegedly said this in the company of his closest associates. He called it bold, according to another source interviewed by Axios. Nevertheless, Trump is concerned that a successful attack by Ukrainian drones on 4 Russian military bases could undermine his diplomatic efforts, hinder negotiations, and push Putin toward further escalation. However, as Axios writes, the drone attack did not come as a surprise to him, because this is what happens when a war drags on. But he is concerned that this will prolong the fighting. Publicly, let me repeat, publicly, Trump has not commented on this attack. All we know is that he had a discussion about it at some point during a phone conversation, specifically with the Russian dictator. That's how it looks. And while we are now speculating whether the Oreshnik missile launch was a failure or not, in the United States, a truly legendary battle is unfolding. It can be compared, without exaggeration, to the use of strategic nuclear weapons. Donald Trump has finally fallen out with Elon Musk. Their quarrel escalated to the point where Donald Trump wrote that most likely Elon Musk has practically lost his mind. And as reported by the media, closer to evening in Europe, while it was still broad daylight in America, Elon Musk accused Trump of allegedly being involved in the Epstein case. Let me remind you, he was a convicted American citizen who, according to the official version, committed suicide. But according to another version, let's say he was helped, pushed to do it. Epstein was known for actively luring women into prostitution, and he himself was accused of committing several dozen rapes. Epstein interacted with a huge number of the world's most influential people. And Musk wrote that, as it turns out, Donald Trump was also involved in the Epstein case. He posted about this on the social network X. But it's obvious that Donald Trump won't let this go unanswered, and we can expect further developments in this epic battle. Meanwhile, Donald Trump announced that he would take tough measures against both Moscow and Kyiv if the war does not stop. He made this statement during a meeting at the White House with the Federal Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, who, by the way, gave him his grandfather Trump's birth certificate as a gift today. Yes, that is exactly how his last name sounds in German. Not Trump, that's the Americanized version. Trump, who was born on the territory of Germany in 1869. Yes, in the distant far off year of 1869. Naturally, Trump really, let's say, he really liked this. It flattered him. But nevertheless, today he commented on the war in Ukraine and stated that he has a deadline which he keeps in his head. When I realize that this won't stop, and I'm sure humors will do the same, then we will act very, very, very tough. Trump said very 3 times. Honestly, this could apply to both countries. You know, it takes 2 to tango, but we will be very tough, whether it's Russia or someone else, we will act tough. That's all. He also compared the behavior of Putin and Zelensky to that of 2 children fighting in a park on a playground. Well, those are the kinds of analogies he came up with on this topic. Finally, it is already known today that the Russian occupiers struck the building of the Kherson military administration. with 2 guided aerial bombs. The first strike was carried out around 6 in the morning, and the second was carried out around 3 in the afternoon. The enemy is spreading numerous reconnaissance videos in their public channels showing the strike on the Kherson military administration building filmed by cameras. It is reported that the building is practically beyond repair. It has been destroyed. Fortunately, it is reported that there are no casualties among the employees or citizens, residents of the city. Thank God everyone was evacuated in time. This is the main positive news. And I remember that building very well. When our brigade took part in the liberation of the Kherson region, we entered there. It was November 13, 2020, Tworit, on that very square near the Kherson administration building, where we were joyfully greeted by local children, women, and men. Everyone was hugging, dancing, and crying with happiness. We were signing flags, giving away patches, and some other souvenirs. In short, it was truly a real celebration. All we can do is hope that all our people, our Kherson residents, everyone we met back then who came up to us, with whom we took photos, hugged, kissed, that all of them and their loved ones are safe and sound. We pray for all of them and, of course, wish them to stay alive and healthy and to survive all these horrors of war. Kherson is, without a doubt, a hero city, and so are all its residents who endured the terrible Russian occupation, as we understand. Well, finally, let me repeat once again, more important events await us. By the way, a few days ago, I recorded a video saying that most likely President Donald Trump would appoint U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Alexis Grinkevich as the Supreme Commander of the United Armed Forces of NATO in Europe, which in fact is exactly what happened. Lieutenant General Alexis Grinkevich has been appointed, and NATO has agreed to this appointment. There you have it. At the moment, he holds the position of Director of Operations J3 of the Joint Staff at the Pentagon in Washington. At that time, I speculated that Grinkevich might possibly, I said, be an ethnic Ukrainian, since the spelling of his last name resembles, once again, Oleksiy Petrovich Rinkevich. But my American friends, thanks to them, have sent me a clarification that Grinkevich actually comes from a Belarusian family, not from a Ukrainian ethnic family, but from a Belarusian ethnic family. Nevertheless, he is one of the most brilliant, respected, and promising American commanders, and as we can see, he has taken the highest military position in NATO's Joint Command in Europe. And most likely, this is not the last step in his military career. Well, we certainly wish him that. Well, I was mistaken. Here, I wasn't making a statement, I was assuming, and I admit I was wrong. Grinkevich is an ethnic Belarusian, which, however, does not diminish his excellent qualities as a military commander, an outstanding one. As open sources write and the media report, undoubtedly, he is a person who will hold even higher positions, military positions, and possibly not only military but also political ones in his future career. In short, it's never too late to admit your own mistakes, which is exactly what I'm doing. Take care of yourselves, friends. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and do not ignore air raid alerts if you are in Ukraine. In any case, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Do everything you can to protect their lives and your own, as well as your health. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to its armed forces. Glory to the Ukrainian Special Forces. Glory to the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Forces. As always, Major Taras BEREZOVETS of the Ukrainian Army was with you.